what can I say about Bourexis? What I can tell you is he's got a real gift. He's got a gift for his profession. He's got a gift of gab. He can walk into a room and not know anybody, and by the end of the evening, everybody knows him. We went to Annapolis to the Greek Independence Day celebration where the governor presented a proclamation and all this stuff, and we were coming home late, so we stopped at a diner on the way back. When we sat down there, we were eating, and all of a sudden there was a group of 6 young men, college age, okay? College age young fellas, and they all sat down at a table next to us, the table for 6, and they started just carrying on and having a good old time, the way guys do. They were just having a good old time. So what's Bourexis do? He calls the waiter over and he says, tells him the waiter to bring him the tab. So at the end of the day, Bourexis gets the tab when we're leaving, and these guys are extremely appreciative. Extremely appreciative. I mean, they couldn't believe it. This man picked up the tab for this whole table of young guys. And when he left, he just gave them each 2 cards. He says, now listen, guys. He says, this is my card. And he said, I want you to keep one, and I want you to give one to a friend. Promise me that. So he did. I mean, they took the cards, and that's what he did. And in doing that, I asked him, I said, what did you do, pick up the tab for all these strangers for? He says, are you kidding me? He says, that's the cheapest advertisement I'm ever going to get. He says, you got 6 young college bucks, and you tell me they're not going to get into trouble? And each one of those 6 young guys has a card that they're going to give to 6 other guys. I mean, they're each going to give a card to a friend. So he said, I'm never going to get advertisement like that for the cost I paid for that meal. That's Bourexis. That's just the way he is.
And Stephen, I believe, was the first person I met here in Westminster. We pulled into the parking lot, and here he came across the parking lot with his big Western-style hat, and I think it was a cool, wet day, and I love you. Before he even knew me, the first thing he tells me is he loves me, and opened up the door so we could serve the service there. But, from that moment on, I came down once a month through the spring till we moved down here in June, and every time I had an encounter with him on the phone or in person, I love you.
Every day that I am with Stephen is memorable. Stephen is just a memorable person, and that's part of his. He developed that because I think to be memorable, so that he could do his work and so that people would always remember him.
Where did Steve get it? I can tell you where he got it. It was his mother. It was his mother. Steve had a very, very hard life growing up, and it was basically him and his mother in this new land, America, from Greece. So Steve was very, very close with his mother. Steve was very protective of his mother, and his mother was really quite a lady, quite a character. And she just loved to talk to people, just like Steve does. So I'll give one example of this. I was coming out of my office at noon. I ordered lunch down the street. I had a lunch hour from 12 to 1. So I was going to take a walk down to the local deli, just 3 or 4 blocks down, and pick up my lunch. I phoned it in. I had an hour to go down there and get it, so I walked out the door, and it was noon. Right when I walked out the door, who's standing in front of my office but Mrs. Bourexis? She's standing there, a lovely lady. So we get to talking and talking and talking, and we discuss politics. And she discusses her role in Greece during the Second World War when I believe she was a translator for the British intelligence. I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on that, but I think that's what it was. She was telling me all this stuff and went on and on and on. And at 5 minutes of 1, I had to walk back into my office and call the place where I ordered the lunch and just told them that I couldn't get down there to get it. So I think Steve got that gift from his mother. Rest her soul and God bless her. She's a great lady.
I was taking a trip with Stephen recently and was able to have a nice long hour conversation with the man, and he's fun. You know, everyone kind of pokes fun and jokes with Stephen, and he takes it so well. But he really is such a kind-hearted, special person, and the stories and wisdom that he has is really exceptional. He told me all about, you know, from his time, you know, coming up through Westminster and his studies at the Mount, to starting his law practice, and I was really fascinated by all of it and really hang on to every word, because he's done so much, and he is such a really wise person, and also so kind and caring.
His memory of details is just amazing. We're talking about phone numbers, and somebody's about to run to go get a phone book or start scrolling through their phone to get a number, and he pulls it out of his database in his head.
He's an excellent attorney. He's a fabulous attorney. He is the most talented court room attorney that I know, and he's probably the best trial lawyer ever. He should be one of those billionaire trial lawyers.
He job shadowed without any, you know, financial benefit or anything like that, someone with a developmental disability on multiple occasions. And that person really took so much from that experience. Really, what was so impressive about that experience was how Stephen treated that person. I find a lot of people kind of become uncomfortable and working with or talking with people that might have slight differences in them, but that's not true to Stephen at all. He talked to this young lady as the adult she is, and he really treated her with complete professional demeanor, and like everyone else that Stephen encounters, he treated her with unbelievable kindness.
And I can tell you by the way that he handles clients, he has their best interests at heart. I have heard him on many times advising them not on just the legal parts of the case that he was probably helping them out with, but on personal issues also. I think he has a tremendously big heart, and he would help anybody. He'd give anybody the shirt off his back.
It really goes to the heart of the person. His big heart. He cares about God. He cares about his fellow man, and it just comes out and is shown in everything that he does and says, and in his whole being. What
I admire about Stephen is the fact that he can read people without even knowing them. He can read them very well, and he is very careful about how he conducts his business, how he conducts his thoughts. I admire that. I admire his energy level. He's always doing business, no matter where we are. Your mind is always working, and I admire that about you. You do a fantastic job, and I wish you continued success, continued health, and I love you.
And it just shows he's got a lot of heart. And I think probably the only thing I can say as far as my relationship with Steve as an AHEPA brother and everything like that is that I regret not really getting to know him a lot earlier. But we'll make the best of the time that we have.